Last season, he finished second to James Harden in points per game and player efficiency rating. He led the league in blocks per game for the third time in his career. And he finished third in MVP voting behind Harden and LeBron James. It's his best MVP finish in his career so far. And look, Alvin Gentry said he wouldn't trade Anthony Davis for anyone, including Beyoncé. We need to stop and focus on that.
You better fall back. He don't want to get the beehive on his top.
Anyone's
he
buying
is saving his job because you trade Beyoncé for Anthony Davis.
You think? You think?
Okay, so everyone thought he was lying. Okay, good. I'm glad we did. We're going to welcome back in Woj. All right, so Woj, here's the deal. Davis's deal expires in 2020. What has to happen for him to be traded, or a candidate anyways, traded this season?
Michelle, he'd have to ask for a trade. And even then, New Orleans wouldn't be obligated to do that. He's still under contract for 2 more years. Anthony told me last season that when he was hearing some stories about Boston's interest in him, he went into general manager Dell Demps' office and asked him about it. And Demps told him, yes, Boston has called about you. And no, I'm not trading you. He is their franchise. He is the player that keeps that building full. And New Orleans is not trading him unless you get to a point where he says, I will not re-sign with you. I want to go to Boston or LA, and I'll re-sign there. But going into a rebuild in New Orleans, which is what you would have to do in trading Davis, you'd have an empty arena. That's not a business plan for them.
Not a great business plan, anyways. It's a plan of some sort, Paul. Let's pretend you're a GM. What would you give up for Anthony Davis to be a member of the Celtics team?
Oh, wow. You know, as much as I love a lot of the players on the Boston Celtics, but to get a guy like Anthony Davis, there's nobody on that team outside of Kyrie and Jason Tatum. Like, I love Jaylen Brown, I love Al Horford, I love Gordon Hayward. But if I compare him with Kyrie Irving and Jason Tatum, and that's my big three, I got to do it. I mean, because you got to keep a guy like Tatum because he's shown the ability, the scoring tenacity that you need in a playoff situation, close games. He can be a closer along with Kyrie. And then you got this big guy who's just filling up the paint, doing everything for him. If you get those three on the team, then the league better watch out.
Smart man. Smart man. I agree. I mean, I think Jason Tatum, first of all, he will be the best player on their team right now, excluding nobody. I think he's the best player on their team right now. So, you know, nobody in the league is untouchable.
Well, I mean, teams say guys are untouchable. We always hear, you know, with the Lakers, it was Brandon Ingram. I'm not sure what it would be in Boston.
And for the Lakers, I'm throwing in everybody except LeBron. You can have them all if I can get AD.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Because here's what has to happen in the West. The dynamics have changed. Obviously, the Golden State Warriors have separated themselves because they could potentially have 5 All-Stars. Houston's going to have 2. OKC's going to have 2. Now, teams 3 through 9 were only divided by 2 games last year. So a lot of these teams have 1 All-Star, Portland, Lillard, Utah, Donovan Mitchell will be All-Star, Pelicans, AD, obviously, Wolves, Spurs, you get the point. So for AD, I think he's so very dominant, he could put them in the top 4 in the West and legitimately win MVP this year. Like, he's going to have a game where he have a quadruple-double this year.
Not this year.
Oh, yeah.
What about the idea,
He's going to have a game where he have a quadruple-double this year.
Do you see a world in which he says, hey, I want to be traded? Because last year was all good. But
you know,
100%.
The sad part about it is this guy is putting up huge numbers, and he's not going to be the MVP. We all know that. He's putting up MVP numbers for the simple fact he doesn't have the team. We all know that team success and MVP goes hand in hand. And the reason James Harden got it, they were the #1 seed. He was the best player on that team. AD is going to be a dominant player, but he's not going to have a team. And so now he's over there thinking, like, I need to be on a better team. Because he should be playing for championships right now while he's in his prime. He should be playing to be an MVP in this league. And like he said, he is the most dominant player in our game today.
The MVP winner usually is somebody that
who's the best player on the best team.
But it's always Russell Westbrook just won MVP on the 6th seed.
I mean, we're talking about historical numbers now.
He had a triple-double.
He averaged a triple-double. That's something different. That was different.
Anthony Davis' numbers this year are going to be different. And if he can put them in the top 3 or 4 in the West, he's going to be amongst the league leaders in points, rebounds, blocks,
I completely
and
agree
steals.
with you, Jalen, but Pelicans are not going to be a top 3 or 4 seed. We know that.
We know that.
I mean, they have one good player. You know, Drew Holiday, I love him. He's a great player. But they won't be in the top 4.
But that's my point behind all of these teams. Like, LeBron still needs a second All-Star. These other teams need a second All-Star. AD needs one as well. That's why
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. That's why
4
he's going
through
to be
9
MVP, because he needs that.